This is the Pop-In Music B-Mouse, released by Konami on May 22, 2008 for 4980 yen. It's a computer mouse, but it's also a 9-button Pop-In Music game controller, and it comes bundled with a PC game that uses this mouse specifically to play it. The box and the game are themed after Pop-In Music 14 Fever. The PS2 console version of Fever came out about a year before the B-Mouse did. On the front of the box, the mouse is visible through a small window in the center. There is some text that can be read, including this text, which says, "A music game that everyone can enjoy." And right below it, it says, "For more information, check here." The QR code brings you to a site that doesn't work anymore, not even on the Wayback Machine, but I'll be showing a different site later on. On the back of the box, there are 3 steps showing how to get started. Step 1 is to connect the Pop-In Music B-Mouse. Step 2 is to install the game, and Step 3 is to play the game. It just says, "Let's play Pop-In Music." Right below that text, it says, "From beginner-friendly 3-button play to full-fledged 9-button play." Below that, it shows the mouse and how it quickly changes from normal mouse mode into controller mode. I'll be showing this off later. On the right, it advertises 4 different modes: 3-button, 5-button, 9-button, and 9 Hyper, which is just a harder 9-button mode. On the bottom half are the PC requirements and specs of the mouse. The PC requirements are Windows 2000, Vista, or XP 32-bit. 64-bit will not work. Pentium 3 800MHz or higher, 512 MB of RAM or higher. The graphics card has to be DirectX 8 compatible, 32 MB or higher. Direct Sound compatible sound card, CD-ROM or DVD-ROM drive, and 500 MB of hard drive space. For the mouse specs, the cable length is 1 meter long, USB is revision 1.1 HID compliant, it has an optical sensor, it has 800 dpi resolution, and it has 2 mouse buttons and 1 wheel. Inside the box are the mouse, a manual, and the install CD. On the mouse, the 9 buttons are visible under the plastic shell, which can flip open very much like the elytra on a ladybug. I believe they were aiming to make it look like a bee, hence the name B-Mouse, but I think it's more like a ladybug. To learn how they fit the buttons into the mouse, it needs to be opened up. There are 2 screws on the back to remove in order to get inside. Upon opening, it's apparent that it uses buttons similar to a game controller, with a silicone rubber button membrane. Removing the membrane shows the contact points, and removing 1 more screw will allow access to see under the PCB. There is only 1 notable chip on the board, a Holtec HT82M99E, which is a USB mouse encoder chip. The mouse is pretty small, it's almost the exact same length as an arcade Pop-In Music button, and here is a size comparison to an entire arcade size controller. Here's some footage of the manual. I'm not going to go over every page, only some important information. On page 3, the top half mentions that nothing special is needed to use the mouse, just plug it in and the drivers will be automatically installed. It will take 10 to 30 seconds depending on the PC. The bottom half says where the instruction manual is, which is in the start menu. Pages 5 and 6 mention connecting the mouse to the PC first before installing the game, then walking through the install steps. I'll be showing these steps later in the video. Page 7 details how to uninstall the game from the PC. On page 8, the top half details how to start the game, either opening the desktop shortcut, accessing from the start menu, or just pressing the center red button on the mouse to launch the game. The bottom half shows how to close the game, either by selecting Exit Game in the game menu, pressing the Escape key, or clicking the X in the top right corner. Pages 9 through 12 detail how to play the game, but I'll be doing that later in the video. Page 13 is the Q&A section. It answers some very generic questions like, "I can't start the game is too small, there's no sound, the sound is delayed, I don't have enough hard drive space, the mouse isn't working, and the screen freezes sometimes." Before I install the game, I want to check out that QR code on the front of the box that I mentioned earlier. I mentioned the site it links to is dead, and there is no archive of that specific URL, but there is an archive of what I believe it should have went to. This is an archived version of the B-Mouse website. This archive was from 2016, and the site died somewhere between 2016 and 2019. I left a link to the archive in the video description. Since this game only works on Windows XP 2000 or Vista, I'm going to need a PC with the appropriate OS. My first thought was to try a virtual machine, but I tried virtual machines for XP 2000 and Vista, and all of them failed to correctly display the game, so it seems like I need to run this on actual hardware. I dug out my old Dell Latitude C840 laptop. This laptop runs Windows XP, and it also has VGA out, so I'll be using a VGA to HDMI converter to capture video of this game. Now I'm going to put in the CD and install the game. The CD has game version 1.01. and there's a patch that brings this up to version 1.12 that I do not have. The install is very self-explanatory even though it's in Japanese. I had to launch the MSI install file from the disk and just hit next through everything and kept everything default. The game will not launch without the mouse plugged in, but there is a workaround to play the game with a keyboard instead. Now it's time to actually start up the game. On the main menu, there are a few options. Gameplay will go to the Song Select screen. Add Install will let DLC songs be installed, but I lack any DLC to install. Homepage will open a browser to that archived link I showed earlier. Config mode will enter the options screen, and End Game will close the game. In the config screen, there are a few options also. The buttons used in 3-button and 5-button modes can be changed to either in a straight line or in a Y or M shape. There is a volume settings below those settings. There is a data clear setting below the volume which erases all scores, and then the last option is to exit the config screen. In gameplay mode, there is a list of songs with various song difficulties. There's a total of 12 songs, 2 of which are hidden, with an additional 30 DLC songs which I do not have. For hidden songs, Hard PF is unlocked by clearing every song once, and Gradius for 2 clears on every song. To navigate the song list, the blue buttons are used to scroll through the songs, the green buttons are to change the difficulty, the yellow buttons are to change the high speed, the white buttons to quit to the main screen, and the red button is to confirm the song choice. You only get to change the note scroll speed for the options, nothing else. When this game came out, the difficulty cap was 42. The hardest difficulty in this game mode is a 34. Here's some gameplay footage of Megane Rock 9 Hyper, the second hardest song in the game by difficulty. Gameplay is just standard pop and music gameplay, nothing too different compared to any other pop and music game. On the title screen, there is a hidden code that can be entered, which is actually the Konami code based on how the buttons are laid out. Entering this code enables original mode, which unlocks the arcade version charts. Here's the same song list, but with the difficulties of original mode. The scores and clears that are shown are not mode specific. Scores and clears from non-original mode are shown in original mode. Here's a little bit of footage from the 3-button mode. I found it interesting that Percussive has a 29 difficulty 3-button chart, so I decided to check it out. This is definitely not a 29, it just has a sped up part with a 2-button trill which is pretty easy to combo. I'll show an example of an arcade chart in this original mode. Now Daishiko Rock displays as a 36 in original mode. However, this is an error and Konami mentions that it should be a 33. I can play it pretty easily with a normal controller, but on this small mouse it's a bit difficult. So what if someone found a B mouse online and wanted to try it out but didn't have an era-appropriate PC to play the game on? Well, thankfully Konami has a PC version named Poppin' Music Lively, which is online and constantly updated. It does require a monthly subscription to play, however, but as someone who is a player without a Poppin' cabinet anywhere near me currently, I think it's worth playing. I decided to try out my mouse with this game to see if it worked, and it works right out of the box. There wasn't any need for any controller configurations or drivers or anything, it just instantly worked. I had to make sure it was the only controller plugged in though. It seems like they have native support currently for a controller that came out 18 years ago. So now it's time to talk about the DLC and the 1.12 patch for the B-Mouse game. In the past, first the 1.12 patch would need to be downloaded in order to enable the add install option in-game. To download the DLC, an iRevo account would have to be made, and the songs would be purchased for money so they could be played. Eventually, these songs would become free and could just be downloaded without paying. This service only lasted for 2 years before it died. The ability to download the DLC songs from Konami ended in March of 2010. In terms of finding the 1.12 patch and the DLC, as far as I'm concerned, it's lost media and will never be recovered unless someone watching this happened to have saved a copy of both somewhere. I've looked in many different places and couldn't find them anywhere. I've talked with other people also looking for the files who are also collectors. They couldn't find them anywhere. The game patch link is dead, and archive.org hasn't archived it. All Wayback Machine links that I've tried have failed. If someone does have this data, please let me know so I can archive it into a part 2 of this video, because I do believe the data needs to be shared. I can guarantee if I do make a part 2, it will 100% be because the data has been recovered and archived. I'm hoping to help raise awareness with this video to hopefully expedite the process. For right now, that's the end of this video. The mouse is a nice novelty item for rhythm game fans, and it's still a useful controller even now for people looking for a unique way to play. Thanks for watching.